The night air on the farm was still, except for the quiet hum of crickets and the distant call of an owl. Emily, a soft-spoken farm girl who had grown up tending to the land, believed she had finally found peace. After years of being underestimated, mocked for her quiet nature, and pushed around by bullies in town, she had built a life of resilience. Beside her was her husband, Daniel, a man whose past was a mystery to most. To the world, he was a humble, hard-working rancher. But in truth, he had once worn the uniform of an elite warrior, a Delta Force operator who had seen the darkest corners of the world. For years, Daniel had sworn he'd left that life behind. But fate has a way of testing vows. It started on an evening like any other. Emily had gone to the barn to tend to the horses. The glow of lantern light illuminated the hay bales and dust particles in the air. She didn't notice the shadows moving closer, the low rumble of a truck engine cutting across the quiet fields. Within seconds, rough hands grabbed her, a burlap sack thrown over her head. She tried to scream, but a sharp voice silenced her. "Shut up, farm girl. Your husband ain't here to save you now." These weren't strangers, they were men from town. Bitter, angry types who had always hated Daniel and Emily's quiet strength. They had mocked Emily since childhood, calling her weak, just a farm girl, someone they thought could never fight back. Tonight, they wanted to make her pay, to break her spirit, to show her she was powerless. They threw her into the back of the truck and sped off into the darkness. Back at the farmhouse, Daniel returned from repairing the north fence, sweat still clinging to his brow. The silence felt wrong. Emily was always waiting on the porch or in the kitchen, her smile the first thing to greet him. He called her name once. Twice. No answer. That's when he saw it. The half-open barn door swinging in the wind, footprints in the dirt, tire tracks cutting across the grass. His chest tightened, but his mind sharpened instantly. The warrior inside him, long buried, awoke like fire in his veins. Emily, meanwhile, was dragged into an abandoned shed deep in the woods. Her heart raced, but her spirit refused to shatter. The bullies circled her like wolves, taunting her, mocking her quietness, reminding her of every insult they had hurled at her since childhood. "Where's your big tough husband now?" one sneered. They wanted her to beg. They wanted her tears. But Emily, though quiet, carried a strength forged in hardship. She lifted her chin, eyes burning with defiance. Back on the farm, Daniel's training took over. He examined the ground, noting every broken branch, every disturbed blade of grass. He could track men through mountains and deserts, finding his wife in the woods was child's play. But this wasn't just about tracking. This was personal. His heart pounded with every step, every breath. He wasn't just a soldier anymore, he was a husband whose world had been. The quiet night on the farm was usually Emily's favorite time. She loved the way the fields glowed silver under the moonlight, the way the barn creaked like it was whispering old secrets. Life was simple here, tucked away from the chaos of the outside world. But Emily knew that peace was fragile. She had spent most of her life dealing with people who mistook her gentle spirit for weakness. The bullies from town never let her forget it. They mocked her quiet voice, laughed at her when she walked through the market, and treated her like she didn't belong. But Emily had never needed their approval. She had Daniel. Her husband, a man who carried himself with a calm strength that reassured her every day. To the townsfolk, Daniel was just another hard-working farmer. To Emily, he was her protector, her anchor. What nobody knew was that Daniel once wore a uniform that demanded everything of him. He was Delta Force, a man forged by fire, whose silence hid a lifetime of battles. That night, as Emily tended the horses in the barn, she felt the shift in the air before she even heard the footsteps. It was the kind of instinct you get when you've spent your life around predators, human or otherwise. Before she could react, rough hands grabbed her. A burlap sack was forced over her head, and her scream was muffled by the sound of boots scraping against dirt. Her heart pounded as she was shoved into the back of a truck. She heard their voices, cruel and familiar. These weren't strangers. They were the same men who had taunted her since childhood. Quiet farm girl, they used to call her. Now, they hissed in her ear, "Let's see how tough you are without your husband." The truck roared to life, carrying her away from the safety of her home. Back at the farmhouse, Daniel returned from mending the north fence. He expected to see Emily waiting with her gentle smile, maybe with supper warming on the stove. But the porch was empty. The barn door creaked open in the wind. A chill ran through him. He called her name, his voice low but urgent. No answer. Then he saw it, the disturbed dirt, the fresh tire tracks, the broken strands of hay scattered on the ground. His heart sank, but his mind sharpened instantly. The soldier inside him awoke. Daniel dropped to one knee, examining the ground with the precision of a tracker. Every footprint told a story. Every broken twig pointed a direction. He inhaled deeply, focusing, shutting out panic. He knew one thing with absolute certainty: his wife had been taken. And whoever dared to touch her had just made the gravest mistake of their lives. Meanwhile, Emily was dragged into an abandoned hunting cabin deep in the woods. The men tied her to a chair, circling her like wolves. They sneered, throwing the same words at her they had for years. Pathetic. Weak. Always hiding behind that husband of yours. One of them slapped her, demanding she cry, demanding she beg. But Emily's eyes hardened. She was terrified, but she refused to gi.